Welcome back, tennis obsessors, to another video, and as you can see from the title, today's going to be a little different. We're going to be reviewing my Ferrero Tennis Academy experience. Now, the main part of the video is going to be looking at one of my training sessions, and then at the end of the video, we're going to be rating out of 5 these categories: facilities, actual training, food, customer service, and finally the big one, was it worth the money? Now, let's just get straight into it.
We've just made it to the room. Let's have a little look. Okay. That's not too shabby, if you ask me. Also has a little bit of cupboard space. Some more cupboard space, the TV, little cheeky desk, mirror, set. Nice, decent little space in the cupboard. Like a shower, quite a nice looking shower if you ask me. I'm guessing here, yep, the toilet. It's not a bad little room. I think that's pretty decent. I reckon we'll get ourselves settled in, and then have a little tour around the whole place. I reckon. I was given a little brief tour when I first arrived. It was like, oh, no, we'll quickly show you around, give you a little tour. That was quite. It was very quick, so I was like, well, because I've just done all the travelling, so I think we do it at our own pace, see what happens, and yeah, take you lot for the ride with me. The accommodations on the left there, and there are some more around the right hand side as well. Those were the short stay accommodations, so those for the people that weren't the main athletes there. So the people like Blanche Darwin, who I did see train there, which was quite a cool experience to have. But those are the buildings that you'll stay in if you go there for a week, possibly even a month. You'll stay there. That building there is where we would eat our food, and if the players wanted to hang out, they'd usually relax in there as well. Those courts there were where they held tournaments for either juniors or even ITF tournaments as well. Those courts there were where I had a lot of my clay court training sessions. Really high quality courts there. As you can see there, the amount of courts I have are insane. I think there was around 23 in total. Of course, there were more clay courts, being in Spain, but there were still many hard courts. On the right there is the gym. I'll have a clip later showing you what it's like inside, but that was also where we saw what time our training session was and what court we were playing on. There was one isolated indoor hard court at the building at the end there. There was also more indoor hard courts in another building at the front. I wasn't allowed to see in there, unfortunately, as when I trained in that singular building itself. They also had paddle courts just at the front there for when you want to do paddle courses as well, because this academy offers both. I wish I could have shown you what it was like with the sun out, because this academy is absolutely beautiful, but this is the only time I could get to do the tour. And now, the piece de resistance, centre court of the academy. This is where they play the final of the tournaments that were ran there, and where they also play ITF and ATP Challenger matches. With the likes of Sinner and Alcaraz playing on that court, it was so cool to be on the same surface they've been on.
Inside here is the gym. Now the gym was decent. Not a lot of machines as you can see, but there was a lot of space for stretching and mobility work, with a large range of dumbbells as well. A lot of weight plates scattered around, which was good for leg press and the Smith machine. There were set times where the permanent athletes would have had their strength and conditioning sessions, but in between them and afterwards, it was pretty quiet. Here's just a quick picture of what that indoor court that I trained on looks like. And as you can see, even more courts. Now the food. Starting off with breakfast, I will say there wasn't a lot of choice, but I think they've done this to keep the athletes light for their morning session. As the training was intense, you really benefited from a small amount in the stomach. Lunch, I will say, was always really busy. Similar sort of food to dinner, so I only have one picture. A lot of protein and carbs to recover from the first session and to get you ready for the second. Now, dinner was busy till about 8 p.m, so I usually napped after my second session to recover and then went to the gym till about 8. A lot of protein and the food all tasted really good. If you wanted dessert, it was fruit and yogurt, all keeping you healthy. I found I always had energy even though I was doing more physical activity, and I think that is because of the choice of food. Here's just a quick video I got on my phone of the sort of warm up or cool down you would do before or after your sessions. Here is the warm up the group did before the coach got there. That's what I really enjoyed about these sessions. You had to stretch and warm up beforehand, allowing the whole session to be dedicated to coaching and making you a better player. Just warming up in the service boxes, getting the feel for the ball and warming up the body. Then just moving back to the baseline, focusing on depth and just keeping the ball in. We then did a drill where you had to hit a minimum of 30 balls without it going out. Here was the first drill of the session, which was focusing on hitting the ball cross court and keeping it in, but with decent pace and depth. This was done to improve our consistency on the court. We had it so one person was with the coach for 5 minutes and the other two were hitting with each other. We would then alternate around so everyone got equal time with each other. Now I will say this was just one training session. Throughout my whole week there, we focused on every aspect of the game. Serve, drop shot, slice, you name it, we did it. As you can see, we did the same for the forehand and backhand, every time focusing on depth, pace and consistency. There were then cones added to either work on going for the short cross-court angles or deep cross-court, both crucial shots in tennis. We then worked on smashes, which was focusing less on the power and more on hitting the angle, keeping the body sideways, rotating it like it was a serve, and then pronating on contact. It was then added that you had to move into the net, touch the net after each smash, then had to backtrack for the second smash. Now this was working on moving back, but also keeping sideways and then moving forward into the ball. Once again, going for the angle instead of putting too much power on it. Now this is regular point play, feeding the ball out of hands and starting the point. The focus was to make sure the ball was kept deep in the court, and if you won the point, you of course got 1 point, but then if you hit the ball in the net, you got -2. This was forcing us to hit with depth. As a player, it's better to hit long than in the net, and I'll just let you watch these points through. I'll also add that these points were first to 7. If you had lost the point, the coach would then tell you what you did wrong during it. So if you didn't rotate your body enough on that final ball, if you put too much power on it, too little, if your wrist wasn't loose enough, you get what I mean. And that shot there, being super unlucky with the net, no academy is going to help you with that. That lob there is a true indication of how good this academy has been for me. That is the shot that I have been struggling with a lot in the past couple of years even. And there it just felt so easy just to loft it over with the spin and get enough depth needed. A key focus this week was footwork. Moving laterally into the court to hit a forehand or backhand, I found improved my game a lot, as I would usually take one step, but there, as you can see, taking 2 steps forward made hitting the ball so much easier. And there, just being a little bit too relaxed, and the coach did tell me that after, I did stop playing and I should really get out of the habit of doing that. And while you're here, I'd really appreciate a subscribe on this video. It's taken me a lot of work and a lot of time to edit this, so I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. And now it was just playing regular points with serving. We went until someone won the equivalent of 3 games. I will apologise for my grunting, but we were told at the academy you had to make the grunt to engage your core and also help you with your rhythm, and I do think it did help. I found that shot there had improved so much over the week. It was forced into me to make sure I took some of the power off and just focused on changing direction, and as you can see, it worked a treat. Now, my final ratings. I'm going to give the facilities a 4.5 out of 5. They were great at the academy. All courts were high quality. The gym equipment was high quality. But I think the reason it loses out on its 5 stars is there just wasn't enough equipment in that gym. The actual training, 5 out of 5, was amazing. The coach was always on time, focused on the lesson, was really invested, he never seemed bored, was great at giving me advice and telling me what I needed to do on the shots that I was missing. Food, I'm going to give a 3 out of 5. High quality and healthy, but the lack of choice has affected the score. Customer service, I will give a 5 out of 5. It was phenomenal. We're happy to answer any questions I had. They contacted me if training time or place had changed. All in all, perfect. And now, the final one. Was it worth the money? I'm going to give that a 4.5 out of 5. Yes, it made me a better player and was one of the greatest experiences of my life, but getting to and from the academy was very difficult. I had to take a taxi to the closest train station and then had to get the next train to Vienna, which had a bit of a wait and took an hour on the train, and then had to get a taxi from Vienna station to the academy. I do feel that the amount that the academy costs, it should have transport included instead of having to pay an additional fee to be collected and dropped to the airport. But the academy itself was worth the money, in my opinion.
As always, thank you so much for watching the video. I hate to ask, but I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. It does really help me out, and I will see you in the next one.